What is good, Niner gang? We're back. If you were here earlier, you're back again. And if you weren't, we're just seeing you now for the first time of the 2021 NFL season for the San Francisco 49ers. I'm super hyped to get this thing going. I'm super excited to now let's talk some football. Before we had some fun with our little jersey opening video, you see the Lenore behind me. Thing's fresh. But what we're going to do today is we're going to get into a little bit more of a 2021 season primer. I have some awards that I'm going to go through. So basically award predictions, players that I think are going to essentially be our comeback player of the years, our fantasy football player of the years, things like that. So I'm going to go through some of the awards. We might even get into a little bit of some schedule prediction. We'll see. We'll take it where it leads us. But I see all the fam in here. What's good, gamer dude? We see you, Sean. Let's go. We see you, young hitter. Get in here. Andrew, Jason. Let's go. We see the fam. We see the fam out here. All right, let's get into it. I want to get into it right away. So one of the things that I want to start with today is I want to start with 49ers awards. So in the theme of getting ready for the 2021 season, I want to start with some projections, some awards that I think could fall this way. First of all, though, I'm going to start with some camp awards because, again, we're fresh off training camp. We're not too far removed. So now might be a great time to recap some of the players that we thought really elevated and were able to take the next step during training camp. So with my camp awards, these awards are going to go to guys that are not your big names, not the names of the guys who've been there, done that. Some new faces, some guys that maybe we weren't anticipating really contributing much to this roster. So let's start there. I'm going to start with the offensive camp player of the year. I don't know if you guys want to take any guesses to who this might be. If you've been following me personally, the account, some of the other 49ers beat writers and reporters who've been covering training camp, there's one player that has seemingly impressed everyone and continues to impress. He's getting nicknames from veteran players on this team. The offensive camp player of the year for 2021 is wide receiver Trent Sherfield. Congratulations, Trent. Woo! Maybe one day we'll get you a trophy or something. One day we'll have trophies and we'll have some actual awards we could send some people because eventually this is going to be an amazingly prolific reward to receive in the future. But for now, we'll give him helmet stickers. We'll give him a clap or something. But textbook Trent comes away as the offensive camp player of the year. Again, I talk about it all the time on YouTube. I do a lot of polls. One of the polls I did because, of course, one of the hotly contested topics of this offseason has been who's going to be wide receiver 3, right? That's what we've been talking about. At first, it was Richie James, maybe Mohamed Sanu. When I had first put out a poll and I said which player is least likely to make the final 53-man roster, as voted by YouTube. Again, this was right as camp was beginning. Trent Sherfield was the one voted least likely to make the roster. So it's amazing. It's amazing how much can change with just one camp. And that is a huge reason why Trent Sherfield takes away my offensive player of the year in regards to training camp. Now, when it comes to defensive camp player of the year, there's a lot of guys who could have got this one. Actually, before we go to defense, there's a lot of guys who could have got the offensive one as well. For honorable mention, I had Trey Lance. Honorable mention, I had Trey Lance. Obviously, if Kyle Shanahan were to execute his scheme, his offense, tailor everything a little bit more to Trey, it probably would have been runaway Trey with the offensive camp player of the year. But because Kyle Shanahan kept Trey with the twos, kept him running a simplified version of the offense, you don't necessarily see the ooh and ah plays as much. You know they're there and you know he's capable of them. But the person on the receiving end of those plays and good throws from Trey Lance most of the time was Trent Sherfield. So I think Trent Sherfield is deserving. I think Kittle was deserving. Like I said, though, I'm steering away from big names, but Kittle had a fantastic camp. Kittle really, really had a fantastic camp this year, and he's definitely deserving of it. But you know the parameters. Trent Williams as well. Fantastic camp. In regards to defensive camp player of the year, what we're going to go with. So I'll give you guys a couple opportunities to guess who that player was and is. I see some Hufangas. I see Jordan Willis. Ooh, Jordan Willis is a really good one. Willis is an honorable mention. Absolutely. I see a lot of Talanoa Hufanga. Another Hufanga. So my defensive camp player of the year is ready for it. You ready for it? Oh, someone got it. You get it. If you get it, you get the shout. You get it, you get pulled up. Maurice Hurst. Maurice Hurst, Arden Key, they were released. They were released from the Raiders, straight out let go, cut, waived, whatever you want to call it. They were fired from the Raiders. And the 49ers were able to grab Maurice Hurst and Arden Key. And as you guys know, I'm a big trench guy. I watch offensive line, I watch defensive line. That was the majority of training camp that I covered. I was watching that group. And out of that group, one of the interior guys, you know, Zach Kerr flashed a ton. Kentavious Street flashed a ton. There's a lot of guys that we had on the interior. DJ Jones played really nicely during training camp. But Maurice Hurst in training camp, again, I'm not talking about preseason necessarily. I'm talking more about training camp. In training camp, he was giving us fits. He was giving our guys like Alex Mack, Brunskill, Lankin. He was giving them fits. The reason why is because Maurice Hurst has a really, really strong burst and get off the line of scrimmage. And with that, he has the moves and the speed to come with it. And you combine that together, and Maurice Hurst was really having a dominant camp. He really was. And that also speaks to why Maurice Hurst made this roster on an extremely deep D-line group while being hurt. So the 49ers had to cut and let go someone else to ensure that Maurice Hurst stayed on this roster so they could put him on short-term IR, so he'll miss about 3 to 4 games to start the year. That's how good of a camp Maurice Hurst has. So there was a lot of Hufanga, right? So Hufanga was one of my honorable mentions. Hufanga had a really strong camp, but Hufanga's camp picked up towards the end when he got more opportunity because, again, Hufanga was buried a bit. Hufanga was buried a bit on the depth chart, wasn't getting a ton of run with the ones. It wasn't till towards the end of camp where Talanoa Hufanga really was able to shine and show what he was capable of when running with the ones when Jimmy Ward took a day off. So I feel really comfortable with Maurice Hurst. That's why I'm super excited to get him back and contributing to this team next year. I think he has a lot to offer. Some other honorable mentions I have, my guy Jonas Griffith. He's not here anymore. Jonas Griffith isn't here anymore. He isn't here anymore because he's a good linebacker. And clearly the Broncos and the 49ers knew he was worth the 53-man roster spot. The problem is they didn't have enough spots, and Marcel Harris had proved enough. He's a veteran. He's been around. Key special teamer, can play safety, can play linebacker. He proved to be really well. So I had a big honorable mention on Jonas Griffith. Clearly, he played as well. He's an undrafted free agent who didn't play in 2020, wasn't on the active roster, and played enough and did enough in preseason to be able to play himself to be traded for draft compensation. Again, this guy was undrafted, hasn't played a game, played well enough in camp. And again, there's a natural connection between the personnel staff with the Denver Broncos and the 49ers. So if the 49ers are telling the Denver Broncos, like, guys, we got this guy, Jonas Griffith. He's legit. He's not going to make it, but you can come get him. That's how good he played. D Ford was also an honorable mention. I also had Diamador Lenore as an honorable mention for Camp Player of the Year, but I feel really confident giving it to Maurice Hurst based on what I've seen. So to recap, Defensive Camp Player of the Year, Maurice Hurst. Offensive Camp Player of the Year, Trent Sherfield. I really like these two. I think these two could be pretty solid. What's up, my guy? If you stick around, I might actually go down the entire roster. I did a win-loss projection. I'm scared to share it with you guys because I'm sure you're going to roast me for it, but I might do it if you stick around. But right now, we're going to keep going on awards. Best free agent signing. Best free agent signing of this offseason based on what I've seen from training camp, Alex Mack. Hands down. I'm not going to call Juice or Trent or any of those guys that we brought back a free agent signing. They were re-signed or, we re-signed them. Guys that we brought in, I'm giving that award to Alex Mack. I think Alex Mack has completely transformed this team. I think in regards to the offensive line, he is going to be crucial in regards to blitz pickup, diagnosing blitzes, ensuring protections are called properly, and ensuring the rest of his guys are in the right spot when they need to be in the right spot. You saw that immediately in training camp. Again, I'll never forget the sequence. I'll never forget the sequence from Alex Mack. It was the first day of training camp that they had pads. And again, pads without, or offensive and defensive line play without pads is not football. When you put pads on, that's when we really see what we're talking about. And so the very first play of team period of padded practice, the very first padded practice of training camp, it was Alex Mack head up with Javon Kinlaw. Javon Kinlaw is one of my breakout players. I expect big things out of Javon Kinlaw. Again, first play of padded practice in training camp this year, Javon Kinlaw versus Alex Mack. Two like stout trench players. Alex Mack just demolished Kinlaw. I'm talking about straight up got into his chest and drove him about 5 yards back and finished with a plant on his back. Alex Mack, this dude's 35. I even came after Alex Mack about his age. Oh, we see you, Don. I even came after Alex Mack about his age a little bit, about maybe not signing him again because thinking that he was maybe taking a step down towards the decline. I was wrong. Really happy that we signed him. Again, that first play of padded practice really exemplified like Alex Mack and like how important it is to have a center like that in the middle of your offensive line. Crucial. Absolutely crucial. What's up, Don Burr? I heard you might be Duck and Coach, word on the streets. But I see you're here. If you guys aren't aware, shout out Don Burr. Don Burr has a bet with another loyal subscriber. Let's see. I think I got the screenshot somewhere. I might pull it up later. Shout out Don Burr. Thank you for stopping in, Don. Your bet is going to be hotly talked about on this channel. Leading up until this week 1, Don has been doing a lot of talking. But now what we're going to do, Don, is we're going to listen. Because we're going to talk about the 49ers and now look into the awards for this year, for 2021, how we think this year's going to go, how all of this stuff is going to work out. So basically, the awards that I'm going to go through right now are Comeback Player of the Year, Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year. I got might be a little like Coach of the Year. Yeah, we got more than one coach, believe it or not. Fantasy Player of the Year, Breakout Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, Team MVP. So these are the awards that I'm going to go through right now in regards to the 49ers and who I think earns these awards at the end of this season. So let's get into it. I want to start with the Comeback Player of the Year. I think the 49ers actually have a couple guys that could absolutely take home this award. You think of guys like Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo had a really up and down 2020. He didn't play all 16 games. He was in and out of the lineup for a big part of the year before shutting it down at the end of the year. He's a candidate that could absolutely fit this as well. Jalen Hurd, who we just saw against the Raiders for the first time since 2019 preseason game against the Cowboys. That's 2 years that the guy hasn't stepped foot on a field wearing actual game uniform. So Jalen Hurd is a guy that could fit this, be perfectly anointed as the Comeback Player of the Year. Nick Bosa goes out week 2 with the ACL. Nick Bosa could put up absolute monster numbers. But I am going to go out on a limb here. It's a dangerous limb, but I'm going out on it. I'm stepping on it, putting all my weight on it, which RIP the branch. I hope you can hold me. But my comeback player, shout out Ego, my guy. I appreciate you, Ego. I appreciate you always. And you're here at perfect time to hear the Comeback Player of the Year, my Comeback Player of the Year, D Ford. It's got to be D Ford, right? Like it has to. I see a couple D Fords in here. It's got to be Ford, right? Oh, shut up, Don. Shut up, Don. It's got to be Ford because again, let's rewind it. Let's rewind this year. Let's rewind where we were at in March, in February, in January. Again, you guys know I'm big in the draft. I'm big on identifying team needs and how that translates into the draft, into free agency, how we build our team based on perceived team needs. Well, going into this year, it wasn't talked about a ton. But the edge, our edge play, like with Bosa going down, it appeared D Ford was headed for retirement. Eric Armstead, I think to me is more of a 3-tech interior guy. Of course, he's an edge base down guy, but I like him rushing the passer from the interior, not from the edge. So for me, it was D Ford because we thought he was going to retire. Again, we went through that whole system. I went through that whole offseason thinking D Ford was retiring. I thought he had already played his last snap in the NFL. I thought all the restructuring was to help get the 49ers some money back before he was going to revert to retirement. Again, we knew that Weston Richburg was likely going to retire for quite some time. So we knew center was a need as well. But D Ford comes back. And again, we're all like, we're hesitant, right? We're hesitant. Like, okay, well, D Ford's back. What does that mean? Uh, if he gives us 25% of the snaps next year, we'll take it. We'll take it because again, we all thought D Ford was retiring, and based on what we've seen in camp, based on I wasn't at the San Diego joint practices, but of course, you guys know I talked to my guys, Jason Aponte, uh, Jordan Elliott. I talked to those guys. They were down there watching it live, and they had nothing but rave reviews for D Ford. They said D Ford absolutely just demolished the Chargers defensive line over and over and over again. Like they had no answer. Is one of the things I saw in camp. That's why I got so excited about Mcglinchey versus D Ford in camp, because D Ford still to me looked like D Ford, the D Ford that we've come to appreciate from the 2019 season. And so that's why I was getting hyped on wins from Mcglinchey over D Ford, because I was like, that's huge. It's huge in so many different ways. And so now to see D Ford take that and translate as we go into the 2021 season, D Ford has an opportunity in front of him where he doesn't have to play every single snap. He doesn't. We have an opportunity ahead of us where D Ford can play almost essentially as a third down pass rusher. We only put him in pass rushing situations where he has to pin his ears back and go doing so good. We were doing so good. Hopefully this doesn't last long. D Ford just really all the steps he's taken throughout this process, the offseason process, the preseason process, training camp, everything. He is taking the steps that he needs to be back. So again, if D Ford's playing 17 games next year, we're hyped. We're absolutely hyped. We're hyped beyond belief because we anticipated he wouldn't even be available for this season. So if D Ford comes back, let's say he plays primarily as a pass rushing specialist, comes away with 8, 9, 10 sacks on the year, I feel more than confident giving the Comeback Player of the Year award to D Ford because, again, it's the context behind it. We thought he was done. The neck injury, the back injury, didn't play all of 2020 other than the first week against Arizona. We thought he was done. So if D Ford comes up and gives us production, oh, the spinning wheel of death is back. If he comes back and gives us some production, it'll be really easy to kind of hand that award over to D Ford. I'd feel really happy about that. So first award, Comeback Player of the Year, D Ford. I feel happy about that. So Offensive Rookie of the Year. Ooh, we get into our first spicy category. Yeah, the Wi-Fi, man. I thought it would be better. I apparently just like streaming out of a black hole. So my Wi-Fi, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. Offensive Rookie of the Year. I want to give you guys an opportunity to drop your guesses in the chat. There aren't a ton of options. Again, it's as offensive rookies. We don't have any undrafted free agents that made the team. We got Trey Lance. We got Trey Sermon. We got Big Aaron Banks. We're going to get a offensive lineman in there, win Rookie of the Year. We got Elijah Mitchell. Don't forget about Elijah Mitchell now. Don't forget Elijah Mitchell. So let's see what we got. I see a Lance. Oh, no, that's a Sermon. I see a Lance here. Got another Lance. Oh, Mark says Trey Lance, no conversation. Trey Lance. Oh, we got a sermon from Sean. Sermon, Trey, sermon. Can we count Jawan Jennings as a rookie? Maybe, but not today. But maybe. I don't mind the thought process. Trey Lance. Oh, look at this take. Local 49ers fan says if Trey Lance plays 8 full games, then it's possibility he wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Woo! And again, we're talking about just team awards. He's putting his chest on it. All right, this is what it is. Sean got it first. We see you, Sean. Where'd it go? Sean got it first. My Offensive Rookie of the Year is going to be Trey Sermon, and here's why. If Trey Lance was starting week 1, it would be hands down Trey Lance. Because part of this, you have to project opportunity. And with this opportunity that we're trying to project for the Offensive Rookie of the Year, which is essentially between 4 players, Trey Lance, Trey Sermon, Elijah Mitchell, and Aaron Banks. Well, we can eliminate Aaron Banks. Offensive linemen they don't win these awards. It just doesn't happen. Eventually it will, but it just doesn't happen. So we got to take Aaron Banks out. Obviously, we know Aaron Banks is a bit of an issue in regards to being healthy at the start of the season. So we understand we're kind of up in the air with that. So it's hard to project Banks. With Elijah Mitchell, obviously he made the roster, but he's playing behind Trey Sermon. And with Trey Lance, we don't know when he will actually get full reign of this offense, when they'll actually put him in and run his offense. Again, I talked about it all training camp. Joe Staley talked about it today, I believe, on KMBR. There's a different offense for Trey Lance. There is a different offense that Trey Lance is going to execute once he becomes the starter. But it won't happen until he becomes the starter. If they're going to do this 2-quarterback system, it's going to be run in a way, in my opinion, where it's still a little vanilla, so that if and when they make the transition to Trey, they're opening up the floodgates. And it's just like this entirely new offense, but we don't know when we're going to see that. But in the meantime, what we do know is every single day of training camp that I was there, every single day, again, we were talking double-digit days of covering training camp. This is how team period went. First play of team period, Jimmy always started it because he's the starting quarterback, right? Jimmy started it. Mostert was the first running back. But after one play, just one play, didn't matter if it was a pass, didn't matter if it was a run, the next player to come into the backfield was Trey Sermon. Every single day that I was there. And it was a solid, even rotation, meaning it was split reps. They were splitting reps with the ones. So it was Mostert, and then the very next play, bang, Trey Sermon. Then it was Mostert, then Trey Sermon. Mostert, Trey Sermon. So I really think that's a lot of what we're going to see heading into this year with this offense. We know this team is going to run the football. We know they're going to run the football always. They are built that way. They have an offensive line to be able to execute and do so. And they have the best fullback in the league. They have the best blocking tight end in the league. This team is going to run the football, and they're going to run the football a lot, whether it's Jimmy or whether it's Trey, because either instance both protects each quarterback. We understand. You go back to look at 2019. How did 2019 work? It was defense running the football. So with that being said, that makes it really, I feel pretty confident saying that I think the Offensive Rookie of the Year for the San Francisco 49ers is going to be Trey Sermon. I think Trey Sermon has a real opportunity to put up big numbers. Big numbers in this offense. I think Trey Sermon is a underrated pass blocker, which is going to keep him on the field on third downs. He'll be able to catch out of the backfield. One of my favorite things from watching Trey Sermon in training camp was him going against linebackers and safeties in the one-on-one drills, and they couldn't guard him. I mean, he wasn't like Elijah Mitchell was unguardable in those drills. Elijah Mitchell was unguardable, but Trey Sermon consistently won all the time. And he has good hands from everything that I've seen. So that's what I think is going to happen with the offensive rookie of the year. Yo, Sean, this is a good question. I actually didn't do this one, but I'm going to add it just for you because you know I love my own lineman boys. So I'm going to do O-line. I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Of the year. I like that one. We'll get to that one. We'll circle back. So to recap really quickly, comeback player of the year, D Ford, offensive rookie of the year, Trey Sermon. Now let's get into the defensive rookie of the year. Now I think you guys might get this one. Drop it in the chat if you think you know who I'm going to pick for defensive rookie of the year. Again, you know the drill. You get it in there first and you get their answer right. We're pulling you up for when we talk about who it is. But who's it going to be? I mean, you see Deommodore Lenoir's jersey right behind me. Fifth round gem. Well, what about Ambry Thomas? Third rounder. What about Talanoa Hufanga? Ooh. Who's it gonna be? Oh, it's split. It's pretty split. I see a Hufanga. I see a Demo, Lenoir, Hufanga. Joshua says, gotta be my man, Hufanga. Lenoir. Who else we got? Oh, I see a big Huff. I see that D-Low or the D-Mo. We see you. I see a Hufanga, a Huff. Oh, a Hubanga. I like this one. We might have just accidentally came up with a nickname. Hubanga. Oh, man. Hufanga's first hit stick in his career. This is what we're yelling out. Hubanga. Oh, I like that. Remind me of this one. Hey, Cap, remind me of this one. I like this one. Hubanga. Oh, I love that one. That was a good one. That was talk about the autocorrect that turns into a gem. Let's go. Not even Hugh motherfucker. Oh, this is good. I like this. Got another Leno Ambry low key. All right, I'm gonna pick it, and like I said, I got to go with who got it first. Boom! My defensive rookie of the year for the San Francisco 49ers is Talanoa Hufanga, and I'll tell you why. Because it was very hard to pick. It was very hard to pick between Hufanga and Demo. Not gonna lie, Ambry Thomas has been a bit overwhelming. Again, part of the issue of being a rookie and being a draft pick is you are kind of held to a standard of the slot that you were taken. So if you're a third round pick, you should be able to contribute as a rookie. You should, in my opinion. I think first, second, and thirds should all contribute. If you know how to draft. If you know how to draft well, those three slots should be contributing. Well, we know with the 49ers is that the 49ers tend to draft really well in the ends of the draft. So that doesn't change with Talanoa Hufanga, who was a 5th rounder. Again, I was really thinking about Demo, but what it came down to was opportunity. I think both are capable. I think both are capable of playing this year in 2021 and playing extremely well. The things with Demo that I really like is that he can play outside cornerback. I kind of had Demo pegged as a nickel slot corner, kind of like K'Wan Williams. K'Wan Williams, you'll never see K'Wan go out on the outside. It's just not how he works. It's not how he operates. I kind of peg Demo as that. But what has been super awesome to see is how the 49ers and D'Amico Ryans have used Diamador Lenore by using him on the outside. Now, the problem with Demo is he's actually kind of stuck. He's kind of stuck behind Barrett, Mosley, and K1. Now, we're hoping that none of them get injured. We're hoping that none of them go down, which would then thrust Demo to play. And that's what it would take to be able to get Diamador to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Whereas I see Talanoa Hufanga being a day one contributor on special teams, kickoff, punt return, punt. That's how I imagine him being used a ton. But his path, I think, to getting in the game with the defense is a little bit more clear in the sense that although you have Tavon Wilson and Jaquiski Tart and Jimmy Ward playing safety, quote unquote, ahead of him, they still rotate packages. You still defense, I think, in regards to some safeties and some of those things like that, is they rotate in a little bit more. You might get an opportunity where you're getting Talanoa Hufanga playing nickel linebacker. I think there might be more packages that are going to be developed for Talanoa to fit in a little bit more. So again, the whole how I'm projecting is based on opportunity. You have to have the opportunity in order to stack up the statistics, in order to get on the field and play. And with how I'm seeing it, I think Talanoa has the easiest path forward for opportunity for snaps, which is half the battle. And with everything I've seen out of Talanoa, not only does he have the best path and opportunity, but he's the smartest by far. And again, this is not to discredit Diamador Lenore or Ambry Thomas at all. It's just because he's a safety. So the type of level of cerebral play that you have to have, I feel is a little bit more, it's more heady than it is if you're an outside cornerback. If you're an outside cornerback, you're doing a lot of read and reacting. You're doing a lot of read and react. You got to read the hips, you got to read what move the receiver's setting you up for. You're potentially reading the quarterback's eyes. With the safety, you're playing the middle of the field. You got to be able to see where everyone's lined up at. You have to make sure everyone in front of you is lined up properly. And then you have to make sure you know your keys and you can play fast enough to get where you need to be. And with Talanoa Hufanga, he's done that. Started with the first day that he ran with the ones in training camp. He was where he needed to be every single time, and that speaks to his cerebral ability. And that again is going to get him on the field sooner rather than later. So feel really confident with Talanoa Hufanga, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Trey Sermon, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, D Ford. So those are our first 3 awards. Shout out all you guys for sticking around, commenting, interacting. You guys are making this fun. We're getting the numbers up here a little bit. You guys are making this a lot of fun. Let's get into this one. It might be a little bit more fun in regards to guessing. We have a lot more options at our disposal. So I want to see you guys active in the chat. So this award is a little bit different in the sense of we're calling out for the 2021 San Francisco 49ers. We're not going league wide. We're staying right here. So out of this year's group, who will be the coach of the year? Now, some of you guys are like, Shanahan, duh. Who else is going to be the coach of the year on the 49ers? Is it going to be it's Shanahan, right? Well, there's a new defensive coordinator in town. You have a guy in the name of D'Amico Ryans. And let me tell you about D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans has been putting in work on that defensive line, putting in work with those linebackers, putting in work with those safeties in regards to blitz installs, all of those things. There's also guys like Richard Hightower, special teams coordinator, Mike McDaniels, offensive coordinator. You got John Embry, who's been coaching tight ends for years. You got all different kinds of guys. Chris Forrester, offensive line. We got guys. You got Johnny Holland, linebacker. Shout out Johnny Holland. I know he's going through some personal things right now. So we got to shout out Johnny. Send all the good vibes and energy his way as he's going through his battle. But we got guys like Rich Scangarello. I always butcher his name. Quarterbacks. Don't forget about Robbie Turner, legendary running backs coach. Wes Welker, wide receivers coach. Daryl Tapp has been a fantastic assistant. Breaking news. Breaking news. Really quick. Breaking news. The 49ers have signed cornerback Dante Johnson to the team's practice squad. Welcome back, Dante. We knew it wasn't going to be long. Guys, Dante Johnson is back. Shocker, right? Dante Johnson's back. Cornerback Dante Johnson is back on the practice squad. He's not on the active. He's on the practice squad. Dante Johnson is back, folks. He made it back. Let's go. Dante Johnson will never leave us. However, we did waive Elijah Sullivan from the practice squad to be able to get him back here. All right. Squirrel. Big time Squirrel. Shout out Dante Johnson. Welcome back, brother. Let's go back to some of the coaching names. Oh, I see a Richard Hightower. I see a Ryans. I see a Korsek. Elias says D-line. I see a D'Amico. Of course, a Shanahan nod. Sean thinks it's Coach K. Chasing Gold thinks it's Korsek. Cap thinks it's McDaniels. Scott says Korsek. So Dante Johnson is the 49ers mascot. Dante Johnson is Thanos. Death, taxes, and Dante Johnson. Dante Johnson is guaranteed in our lives. Dante Johnson has carpal tunnel syndrome from signing so many contracts. Dang! You guys are going in on the boy. Sheesh. That's pretty funny. I should hold on. Let me get it posted real quick. I got to do my service to the page. Update. 49ers cornerback Dante Johnson has been signed to the team's practice squad. As a result, sorry guys, posting. Then we will get back to our actual situation. As a result, the team released Elijah, linebacker, Elijah Sullivan. Boom. As a result, has been signed to a team practice. Okay, let's get this out and get it posted. Bang. Sorry, guys. I have to post. 1 second. 1 second. Then we'll get back. We'll get back. Hold on 1 second. One. Oh boy. Okay, we're back. All kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. Sorry. Let me get this one more. Live squirrels left and right. Live squirrels left and right. Got to get it on Twitter. Let me get on Twitter. Then we're done. Shout out Dante Johnson. He's back. The king. The king will never leave. Has been signed to the team's practice squad. Blah, blah, blah. Right. It's Elijah Sullivan. All right. All right. That was a big wrench in our plans. Big wrench in our plans, of course, as always. That typically is the case. So Dante Johnson is back. Dante Johnson is back in red and gold on the practice squad. All right. Not that big of a deal, but it's fun to talk about. All right, let's get back into this. Let's get back into scheduled programming, shall we? So far, let's recap, reset. Comeback player of the year, D Ford. Offensive rookie of the year, Trey Sermon. Defensive rookie of the year, Talanoa Hufanga. Coach of the year is who we are talking about right now. Oh, Saints released Latavius Murray. Sheesh. Fun fact, I played against Latavius Murray, Derek Carr, and Marquette King in basketball at 24 Hour Fitness in my hometown. So that's fun. Does that mean I can say I know Latavius? No, I don't know Latavius. But I did play basketball against him. Fun fact. All right. So let's just get into it. Coach of the year. Coach of the year for the San Francisco 49ers is going to be none other than Chris Korsek. Oh, more news. More news. Let them know. So we have 3 protected on the practice squad, and those 3 protected are Travis Benjamin, wide receiver, quarterback Nate Sudfeld, cornerback D Burgeon. So the 49ers have made a bunch of different roster moves. I think more importantly, I think what is important about that news is who was protected. And the 49ers protected Travis Benjamin, Nate Sudfeld, and D Virgin. Again, D Virgin was just claimed. He was just claimed a couple days ago. Nate Sudfeld makes sense to protect him from being poached because you need that third quarterback. Now, this is a workaround from the final 53 where Nate isn't on the final 53, so he's not counting against the active roster, but he's protected, meaning no one can take him. No one can sign him off our practice squad. He can only be elevated and brought up for our games. So that's good. That's good. Travis Benjamin. I thought Travis Benjamin was coming on really strong there at the end of camp. So really not too that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. So I can deal with that. Do I need to post that now? I'll post that in a little bit. I don't need to post that now. All right. So the coach, I'm just going to go through it. The coach of the year that I have is Chris Korsek. I'm picking Chris Korsek to be the coach of the year. I think he already has a ton of momentum heading in that direction now. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is the end-all, be-all in regards to coaching, revolving the San Francisco 49ers. He is the offensive mastermind and genius behind our zone run, soon-to-be zone read scheme. But it's too easy. I wanted to pick an assistant to be coach of the year. So there was many options. There really are. I think Wes Welker's done a really good job. I think guys like Embry have done a super good job since he's been here to help bring along Kittle, Ross Dwelly, and some of the other guys that he's developing. Bobby Turner is one of the best running back coaches in the league. We got Scangarello back. We have some good coaches on this team. We lost some coaches. We lost Sala. We lost LaFleur. We lost some guys, but we've been able to reload and also just keep some guys and elevate them further. So who I have as coach of the year, I have Chris Korsek. Partly due to the fact that I think Kyle Shanahan has allowed Chris Korsek to take over some personnel decisions. Because things that I keep hearing are things like, well, Korsek really wanted Samson Ebukam. Korsek really wanted Kerry Hyder. Korsek really wanted Arden Key. Korsek really wanted this guy. Korsek, and what I think is happening is because Kyle Shanahan has we see you, coach. Because Korsek has been so successful with his time with the 49ers, I think the 49ers have just turned over the keys to him and be like, listen, you tell us who you want and we'll go get them. We'll go get them. So I think that, again, just shows trust. And everything that I've seen from training camp, this group is a direct, like, correlation. They're a direct deposit from Chris Korsek. And one of the strongest position groups on the team is the defensive line. One of the deepest groups on the team is our defensive line. We took two guys that were let go, Mohurst, Arden Key, and looks like Korsek's going to turn them into players. You've seen what he's done with Kevin Givens, all kinds of stuff, man. So Jordan Willis as well. So I got Chris Korsek as the coach of the year for the 49ers because I think the defensive line is going to do a ton of stuff. We see you, coach. You missed Don. Don came in talking too. Don came in looking for you, coach. He came in talking. He came in ready for week 1. He's ready for the bet, coach. He's ready. He came in talking. We can't lie. He was looking for you. Don was looking for the coach. Once we get the two back in here, we'll read. Oh, there he is. There's Don. Look, we got Don and Coach in the same live together. I apologize if you are enjoying our nice show on awards. We have been completely steamrolled by Dante Johnson news, and and now we're getting completely sidetracked by the bet that was taken place not too long ago. So if you guys don't know, the coach, Don Burr, legendary Detroit Lions fan, Don Burr has they've made a bet. They have made a bet this offseason that whoever wins the game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Detroit Lions, the loser has to pay up $100. They have to pay up $100. There's no questions about it. It's going to happen. We have the handshake deal right here. It's insanely small and hard to see. But if you see it, here's Don Burr agreeing. It took him about 20 minutes to type in the handshake emoji, but he finally got to it. And so what Don Burr is going to have to give up is $100 to the coach if and when the San Francisco 49ers beat the Detroit Lions. Shout out Don Burr. We see you. Let's go. I love it. And I love that you guys are both here to acknowledge the bet and do it all. So shout out Don. Shout out Coach. We see you in the building. In the building. And we're not going to forget about that bet. We're not going to forget about that bet. Don, I have no skin in this game, Don. If the 49ers win, which I absolutely assume they will win, I'll wear, if they lose, I'll wear some Detroit stuff on a live for you, Don. Don, I will wear a Detroit hat or a Detroit shirt. If we lose, I will go that far. Again, you've been a good sport with the bet with Coach. So again, I think we're going to win. So whatever. Doesn't matter to me. If we lose or if we win, you don't got to give me nothing. But Don, I will. Don said his mom said we're winning. So we'll see. I'll maybe wear some Detroit stuff. If Detroit actually does take it to us, I might just for you, Don. But let's switch gears. Let's switch gears as we've been completely derailed by Dante Johnson and Don Burr. Completely derailed, but it's fine. It's fine. We're going to keep rolling. So, Don got a lot of bets out here equals a broke Burr. Ooh, got him. All Don Burr slander accepted. So what we got for 49ers awards, which is why we're here, which is why we're really here, is comeback player of the year, D Ford. Offensive rookie of the year, Trey Sermon. Defensive rookie of the year, Talanoa Hufanga. Coach of the year, Chris Kursek. Now let's get into the fantasy player of the year. So fantasy player of the year, this is going to be someone who's going to be a stat king, putting up yards after the catch, catching touchdowns, running people over, rushing yards, receiving yards. Who's it going to be? Now, so let's get you guys back involved since we're so stuck on Don Burr and Dante Johnson. Let's get you guys back in here. Who do you guys think? Don, be quiet for a second. Who do you guys think is going to be the fantasy player of the year for the San Francisco 49ers? I got a Mostert. Very, very possible. Brandon Ayuk or Kittle, 100% could be either one of them. Oh, we got a Debo sighting. Kittle. Yo, there's going to be a lot of offensive output that is going to produce fantasy numbers for this team. Not Detroit. No, Detroit won't have many players that will contribute from a fantasy standpoint. Jamil says Trey. Oh, young hitter says Jimmy G, fantasy player of the year. Ooh, I like that. Coach says Ayuk or Sermon. I like that. Ooh, shout out Ernest. Ernest knows what's going down. Get your Surefield stonks to the moon. Let's go. Surefield season. I see Jason with Ayuk. Chasing Gold says Ayuk. We got a Debo. We got a Raheem or Debo. Ooh, couple Mosterts. Couple Mosterattis. Let's go. All right. So this is who I got. This is my Brad, the SF Niners Fantasy Player of the Year is going to be Bang, Bang, Kittle Gang. I think this is the year that we see George Kittle just come back with a freaking dominance. I think Kittle is going to do a lot. I think that Deebo Samuel being on the field and Brandon Ayuk being on the field as the same time as George Kittle is going to do a lot of things for Kittle's game. Is because once teams, so this is the thing, Kittle is going to be double covered a lot when he goes out into coverage. But here's the thing, Kyle knows how to scheme it up. Kyle isn't just going to send Kittle on standard routes. He's going to run play action, make everything look like it's going to be like a zone, outside zone to the right, and they're going to leak Kittle out the backside. No one's going to know where Kittle is, and Kittle's going to rip off 20, 30, 40 chunk yard play after chunk yard play. And that's the beauty of it, is that when they do send Kittle in these routes and they do clamp them with double coverage, it's just going to open everything up for all the other guys. So, and then once you bring in the actual Trey Lance domino of playing 11 on 11 football, and those extra safeties or linebackers that might be keying on Kittle now have to key on a quarterback, that opens up Kittle. So I really think, based on, I think with Ayuk and I think with Debo, some of the current concerns that we have are surrounding injury. So again, the big thing with especially projecting fantasy is opportunity. And George Kittle is going to be on the field all the time. He's going to be on the field all the time, whether it's a run play, whether it's a pass play, because he's just such a dynamic piece to be used and schemed against in regards to a defense. You got to use Kittle and you got to scheme him against the defense to not only open up other guys on the offense, but open up things for him. And so with Jimmy Garoppolo likes to throw short to intermediate. He has been pushing the depth of his ball on more to intermediate to deep in regards to in-breaking routes. So with Garoppolo, we have seen him kind of take a little bit more of a progression into throwing the ball a little bit further downfield on in-breaking routes, meaning we're not seeing like 2-3 yard slants where they're basically 2-3 yards and then they're breaking off their route and slanting towards the inside of the field. We're seeing longer developing, maybe 8 to 10 yards, maybe even 12 to 15 yard deep in breaking routes. And so I think that's where George Kittle's going to live a lot. And I think the combination of what Jimmy and George can put together, I think that's going to put up a lot of fantasy production for George. And again, on this offense, the reason why I don't go Mostert, or the reason I don't go Trey Sermon, is because I can't project Kyle's usage. I can't project Kyle's usage yet. So right now I'm playing it safe. I'm going Kittle. But I think Kittle has a huge opportunity ahead of him to put up tons and tons of production based on, one, the weapons we have, the offensive line, how we use the run game, how we get Kittle open in spots and designed into the play calling. I think George Kittle, and I think George wants it. I think last year sucked for George. Being hurt, really early in the season and then suffering through that and fighting to get his way back on the field. George is hungry. George also wants to see his boy Jimmy thrive. So I think the two of them on the field together, I think will again work towards having a pretty solid connection. And I think Kittle's going to be a guy in the red zone. I think we're going to see Kittle a lot more in the red zone this year. Because I think we're going to see a lot more red zone opportunity than we saw in 2020. So I think Kittle slides right in as my fantasy player of the year. All right. Now, this one you guys might guess. I'm going to guess that you're going to guess this one. If you know me, you've already been following along. I think you're going to guess this next award. Who is going to be my breakout player of the year? So this is offense, defense, hell, special teams. Who is going to be my breakout player of the year for 2021 for the San Francisco 49ers? Luke says Jimmy's going to put it on him. Kittle, Ayuk, Sanu, Trent. I thought that was like some new nickname we came up with there for a second. Oh, okay. So breakout player of the year. I like it. The first one is a defensive interior lineman, Kinlaw, Sherfield, Fred Warner, Sherfield, Trey Lance, Bosa. See, this is a good mix. We got Greenlaw, potential breakout player of the year. We got another Kinlaw. So far, defensive heavy on potential, or this is not the breakout player of the year candidate. So we got a Bosa. So again, Bosa broke out as a rookie. Does he break out again in his third year after coming after the ACL to come and put up double-digit sacks? What if Bosa comes out and puts up 14 sacks? Woo! Emmanuel Mosley, love this one. I think Emmanuel could take a big step forward. Ooh, Luke Luna, you know me too well, my guy. Breakout player of the year candidate, Mike Mcglinchey. I love it. I don't know if I know Mike Mcglinchey has taken great strides from last year to this year. But I don't know. Is he a breakout candidate? He's pretty damn good run blocker. Mcglinchey. Joshua says the entire D. Let's go. We got another Greenlaw. Cap coming with all the nicknames today. Surefire, Kinlaw, Bosa for Sean or Sherfield. Textbook Trent. Get out of here, El Savo. All right. So my breakout player of this year, the entire year, I'm talking 17 games, potential preseason run, someone who's just going to break out. And every 49er fan is going to know, potentially most average NFL fan is going to know. My breakout player of the year. Let's go. The Sherfield Hive is buzzing. It is buzzing. Let's go. We don't stop. We don't let go of the Sherfield hype. We only press down on it further. I think Trent Sherfield has everything placed in front of him to become potentially the biggest breakout candidate for the San Francisco 49ers, and here's why. Now, he might be a little buried on the depth chart in regards to not being the 1 or 2 guy on the depth chart, but the great thing that we know about Kyle Shanahan is that he doesn't care about 1, 2, 3, 4. What he cares about is matchups. What he cares about is personnel groupings. What he cares about is what this group can do to that group of defensive players. So what I see is a guy in Trent Sherfield whose game translates week to week, team to team, defense to defense, personnel grouping to personnel grouping, I don't care if he's not considered a starter. I think Trent Sherfield is not only going to get a lot of run, but he's going to get a lot of targets. And on top of that, you have two wide receivers in front of him in Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, who have been dealing with injuries for the majority of their career. And so you have a real opportunity with Trent Sherfield. And that's even with Jimmy. With Trey, when Trey comes in and if Trey takes over, Trent Sherfield's stock jumps up to an entirely another level because Trent Sherfield and Trey Lance had an immediate connection day one of camp. And they only continued to build that throughout training camp, throughout preseason, all that good stuff. All that good stuff. So, hey, we thought it could have been River. We thought there was a chance, right? We thought maybe. No, it's not him. It is going to be Trent Sherfield. And again, I know a lot of people have only seen some of the stuff from preseason, but again, he did all of this stuff in camp. He had a clear rapport with Trey Lance, and he's also built a rapport with Jimmy Garoppolo. So he can play with either quarterback. He can play in the slot. He can play outside receiver. He can do all the different gadget things that Kyle requires of these guys. So I just think Trent Sherfield is this little ball of potential that is just going to burst onto the scene because we felt that way in training camp. We're already kind of seeing that with the preseason performances, and I think it's just going to continue. I think with how you're seeing how the sideline reacts to him, he did the mic'd up with the brick by brick by the 49ers, how the teammates respond to Trent. Trent is already like, you saw like in that one clip that I posted, it was Deebo, there was Jimmy Garoppolo, it was Fred Warner, it was Mostert, it was all the main guys on this team surrounding Trent Sherfield and just ribbing him, giving him a good time. You could tell they really cared about the guy and they care about the person, and all of that contributes into why I think he is primed to explode, because I think this wide receiver core will be dinged up for a lot of the year, which means someone's going to have to step up. And I think the person that steps up and never lets go is Trent Sherfield. And who knows? Like, I think Deebo is an extremely good player. I think Deebo has a huge potential and ceiling still ahead of him. But if Deebo Samuel can't stay on the field, again, we just saw the 49ers trade multiple first-round picks, and we saw them move up in the draft to draft a quarterback because their starting quarterback wasn't available, wasn't able to stay on the field. They did all that with that position. So if a player like Deebo Samuel is dealing with nicks and bruises and bumps, soft tissue issues, all that kind of stuff throughout the year, Trent Sherfield could be that guy. Trent Sherfield could be that guy to just be like, again, they call him textbook Trent for a reason. He does everything right. And including being available at this point so far in his career, knock on wood. So I think Trent Sherfield, now there's a lot of other players. I saw Kinlaw. Kinlaw, I think, is one of my breakout players. I think Kinlaw is going to have a huge year. I'm excited for Mike Mcglinchey. I think Mike Mcglinchey is primed to take the next step forward in his development. I'm not ready to say Mike Mcglinchey is here. I'm not ready to say Mike Mcglinchey has arrived in regards to being a 100% stout pass blocker. I think he has shown many improvements in regards to his pass blocking technique, depth in his pass set, his footwork, hands, all of it. Improvement. But we need to stack the improvement together to make it consistent and just make it a habit. So McGlinchey's trending in the right direction. I don't want to necessarily put that pressure on him. Other guys that could have breakout, Bosa could absolutely have a breakout year. Jason Verrett could have another breakout year. All that kind of stuff. So plenty of guys worthy of that position. Now let's move. So we got 3 awards left. I know we got distracted by Dante Johnson and Don Burr you son of a guns. But we are down to the last three awards. Down to the last three awards. We have Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and MVP. Those are the last three 49ers awards that I have. And so really quickly to recap, Comeback Player of the Year, D Ford, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Trey Sermon, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Talanoa Hufanga, Coach of the Year, Chris Korsek, Fantasy Player of the Year, George Kittle, Breakout Player of the Year, Trent Sherfield. Now, who do you guys think is my Offensive Player of the Year? Now, I've left some Easter eggs throughout the offseason. If you think back to my rankings, you think back to other things that I've done, who do you think on offense will be my player of the year? Who do I think is going to just completely outperform and just play at the top of their level, at the top of their game? Who could that player be on the offensive side? Like it could be a lot of guys. Mostert could absolutely be one of them. Mostert could absolutely break off his best career year ever, especially behind this offensive line. Absolutely. 100%. Brandon Ayuk, I bought Brandon Ayuk stock everywhere. I'm expecting Brandon Ayuk to take off in regards to production. Again, Brandon Ayuk, I talked about a guy who should be able to hit 1,400 yards all purpose. 100%. Ayuk or Kittle. Ooh, Alex Mack. I like that one. Trent Williams. Oh, these guys know me. They know my offensive line fetish. Kittle. Jimmy G could absolutely be the offensive player of the year if he comes out, plays 17 games, wins us a bunch of games, takes us back to the Super Bowl, plays efficient football. Absolutely. Trey Sermon, 100%. Could absolutely be that guy. Jimmy Ward's defense. So that could be the defensive player of the year. Yeah, Trent the Body Williams. Hufanga, Trent Williams, Mostert, Jimmy G. Luke says Jimmy's going to be a stud this year. Red Eye says Trent likes his nickname Silverback. Isn't that racist? Well, what? Ooh, Sean said Mack. I like that one. All right. So my offensive player of the year. Again, I tried to give you guys a little hints. But if you have been following, you know who it is. You know who my offensive player of the year is. My offensive player of the year is going to go to the best left tackle in the NFL. Now, how do you compare this? How do you compare someone who doesn't produce stats? How do you compare Trent Williams to George Kittle? George Kittle can have 1,000 receiving yards and still block and still do all those things, right? How do you compare that? How do you make that work? Well, this is the thing. It's like with Trent Williams, he's the best left tackle in the NFL. And it's not a question, in my opinion. That alone is enough cachet to put you in the top 5, regardless, without question, on your offensive unit, on your team, in regards to who you are and what you are as a player. Now you look at Trent Williams. Again, I've watched back I've watched all the games back this preseason. What they're asking Trent Williams to do, some of the things that they're asking him to do, with the different technique and all those different things. I think Trent Williams is got to be the offensive player of the year. This dude just rarely gets beat. He's absolute savage as a run blocker, in pass blocking, which is probably the hardest. I would say pass blocking and kind of cornerback technique, whether that's trail technique or whatever. I would say pass blocking technique and trail technique for cornerbacks are probably two of the hardest things to do in football. Those two things, because you're having to be moving backwards while trying to react to some of the best athletes in the world. So with Trent Williams, what we're going to be asking him to do from a run blocking standpoint, he is an anchor of that left side. He's the anchor of the entire offensive line. Even though Mack is the brain trust of the offensive line, Trent Williams is the muscle. Trent Williams is the anchor. Everything goes left to right on the offensive line, and when you have Trent Williams, can you guys is still frozen? We're having trouble. The issue is a possible stream was ended or deleted on Facebook. We keep trying to. Man. So I can't tell. It doesn't look like you guys can hear me. I'm not seeing anyone comment. Oh man, Sean, how brutal! Oh, how brutal! So somehow one of my children cut the Wi-Fi. Shout out my children. Somehow they turned it off. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. Leave it up to them. Gotta love my kids. Shout out kids. Thank you for destroying the stream. All right. Well, there's somehow still 40 of you in here. We definitely lost over about 100 people, which is unfortunate. God, man. I was tripping. I was like, what is going on? I was like, where? I couldn't even find my Wi-Fi. I was like, did it just disappear? I was like, did it just leave me? It's like, nope. Somehow one of the kids cut it. Good stuff. Good stuff. One of these days, I'll be in a controlled office environment with no children cutting my Wi-Fi. All right. Well, I've already been on for hella long. We've already lost hella people based on my awesome technical difficulties. We were doing well for a second, but I'm just going to finish this. Just going to finish. The offensive player of the year, Trent Williams. Woo! Defensive player of the year. So what I was asking when I realized like no one was responding, I was like, oh, that must not be very entertaining because I was like, well, who do you guys think the defensive player of the year was? And it was just crickets. I was like, damn, really? No one cares. No one thinks like or cares about like who. I was like, damn, no one's but clearly we know what happened. So anyways, I'm just gonna get into it. Defensive player of the year for me, I think is going to be Nick Bosa. So I think Nick Bosa could have been comeback player of the year. He could even been breakout player of the year. He might even be MVP. But I really think that Nick Bosa is going to come back and he's going to just transform the defense in regards to sack production. I think with that unit, in regards to whether it's Samson Ebukam, whether it's D Ford on the opposite side, Eric Armstead on the interior with DJ Jones, Mohurst, Zach Kerr, Kinlaw, whoever it's going to be, but you have Nick Bosa on one side. I think Nick Bosa is going to get back to Nick Bosa ways. So that's why I have Nick Bosa as defensive player of the year. I think he's going to put up over 12 sacks. I think he might even potentially hit 14. We'll see. But that leaves one award left, which leaves the MVP award. So the MVP award could be anyone. Could be offense, could be defense, could be special teamers, maybe. Never know. But the MVP award that I have, let's see if I'm frozen again, or see if I'm not, or see if anyone even cares anymore. But who do you think the MVP is? Now, again, my offensive player of the year was Trent Williams, offensive lineman. My defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa, defensive lineman. So that might mean my MVP might not be conventional. It might not be the answer that certain people are thinking of. But again, I don't know. I'm just going to go for it. So the MVP that I have for this year, heading into the 2021 season, is Fred Warner. Fred Warner is going to be the team MVP. I already think he's elevated himself to team leader up there with Kittle. And I really think Kittle is really one of the main vocal leaders on offense. I think Fred Warner is the vocal leader on defense. So I think MVP of the team is MVP typically goes to offense. MVP is typically an offensive award because it's so easily drawn against with stats. You can compare stats very easily. You can use spreadsheets. You can use algorithms to determine who the best player is based on stats. But I have Fred Warner as the team MVP. I think what Fred does from on the field, off the field, basically a coach on the field. Again, we know what he's going to do. He's the best linebacker in football. So Fred Warner is going to bring it. And Fred Warner is going to be a savage. So that's it. That's my awards. We got all kinds of squirrels and interruptions. We had the Dante Johnson news, which threw us off for a second. We had the Don Burr bet throw us off for a second. We had my kids shutting off my Wi-Fi router. That was the biggest one. But hey, we're here. We're going to finish. And we're going to finish strong. I think that might be just good opportunity to call it rather than going much further. I could bring it back tomorrow with a whole nother segment and some other things that we're going to do, which is what we'll likely do. So we'll clear it for the day. I've shout out to, I think there's like 40 of you. I think there's like 40 of you who like hung out, vibed, Sean, TriStar, Jalen, James. Like, I know who was here before the cutout. I know who was here before the cutout. I know who's been here since the Dollar General Wi-Fi days. I will remember you guys forever. You guys are just building equity with me. Shout out you guys, as always, for sticking through. Dealing with my Wi-Fi issues. You guys are the best. Like, honestly, like the fact that there's anyone in here, the fact that there was anyone in here waiting for that about 10 minutes that my Wi-Fi was out. Appreciate you guys. That tells me who the real ones are. I see you guys. So just to recap the episode, we'll put a bow on it. We'll be back as always, man. We'll be back as always. And the best part is week one. We're just getting into our groove. We're just getting things going. So like I say with the regular season, I say the first 4 regular season is the preseason for the starters. First 4 weeks might be the preseason for me too. So we'll get this squared away. We'll get it figured out. Trust me, I'm going to get this Wi-Fi thing figured out. We can't be having this. We'll get it figured out. So to recap the awards that we went through so far, we started off with camp. So defensive player of training camp this year, I had as Maurice Hurst. Defensive line recently picked up from the Raiders. Offensive camp player of the year, this guy has taken home 2 awards, and this is first of his 1 awards, which was offensive camp player of the year. Trent Sherfield takes that one home easily for me. Best free agent signing of the year, Alex Mack. Comeback player of the year, D Ford. Offensive rookie of the year, Trey Sermon. Defensive rookie of the year, Talanoa Hufanga. Coach of the year, Chris Korsek. Fantasy player of the year, George Kittle. Breakout player of the year, Trent Sherfield. He's the only player named twice on this list. Offensive player of the year, Trent Sherfield. Trent Williams, wrong Trent. Defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa. MVP, Fred Warner. Now, one thing that you might take away from my awards list is there's no quarterback. There is no quarterback making one of. Oh, yes. And Sean, I will absolutely answer this question. So Sean had a great question of who the best offensive lineman was going to be. I think with Trent Williams taking home the best offensive player of the year award, that kind of speaks to that. But I absolutely think who is going to be the best opposite of Trent Williams is going to be Alex Mack. So I would say Alex Mack is going to be the best offensive lineman, not named Trent Williams. I like Lincoln Tomlinson a lot. Lincoln Tomlinson has had a pretty strong camp. You know what Lincoln is? Lincoln doesn't mess up too often. He does his job all the time. You can count on him. He's reliable. Brunskill is definitely taking a step forward, but he's going to have bumps and bruises along the way. But Brunskill is 100% serviceable and deserving of this starting job. I'm probably most excited to watch Daniel Brunskill out of all the offensive linemen. As you guys know, that's Daddy B. So I'm very particular to Daddy B and his performance. So I'm going to be very excited to watch him throughout this year. And then, of course, I think this is the year where Mike Mcglinchey gets back on track. Like 2020 was a bit of a year that got him off track. And I think what 2020 was good for him was to identify the things that he needed to work on. And some of those things that he needed to work on were in pass protection. And some of the things that, I really came to like from training camp from Mike Mcglinchey is that he had worked on was a lot of those things that I think he needed to correct. And again, going up against D Ford in camp, I think was extremely beneficial for him. Working against speed rushers, working against guys who have the full bag of tricks. So I really think Mike Mcglinchey is going to be ascending this year, but I'm not ready to call him a breakout yet because one, he's already really stout as a run blocker, but I want to see how he develops this year. Offensive line takes a lot of time to develop, especially pass set when you're that big. So I want to see what he does. So for me, to answer your question, best O-lineman not named Trent Williams, I think is Alex Mack at this point. What he does on the at the center position, all of that. I think it's going to be we're going to see some of that age. There's might be some, we're going to see some guys beat Alex Mack with maybe a little bit of speed. Like, it's going to happen. He's not unflappable. He's not going to completely just dominate. But with what we saw from years past and the revolving door at center, it's going to clear everything up. It's going to clear everything up having Alex Mack there, and that in of itself speaks to how important he is. So great question, Sean, as always. Sean, shout you out, bro. I know you've been here from start to finish. Appreciate you always contributing to the chat. You always help these lives go along. TriStar, Joshua, I've been seeing you more. James, I see you. So shout out to all you guys. Again, this was a bit of a rough episode. It's a bit of a rough one. We had some massive technical issues in the beginning. So again, I appreciate everyone who stuck through and literally waited for me to hop back on. It took a while, but we got it back on track. Like I said, we're going to still figure some things out in regards to getting the Wi-Fi fixed. I think I need to go out and get a Wi-Fi extender. That's going to be next on the list. We're going to get a Wi-Fi extender. I got to make sure kids aren't somehow turning off the router. That as well. So look forward to that coming up in a little bit. But I think that's it for today. Today would have been a little bit more seamless without those issues. But hey, that's life. That's football too. We know mistakes are going to happen along the way. We know adversity is going to pop up along the way, but it's how we respond, how we come back and fight through it, right? That's what it's all about. So we fought through today. We fought through today's episode. We were going pretty good before everything happened, but we made it through. We made it through. Shout out Sean. Always appreciate the positivity from my guy. Always good vibes from my guy. You're out in Hawaii, right, Sean? Like you an island boy. Or you I don't know. I can't remember. I feel like you said Hawaii. Go with the mesh system. So we'll look into the mesh system. I'm taking all critiques, everything, all that stuff. So that's what we're going to be able to work for in the future. Again, shout you guys out again. Shout you guys out for sticking it through. Really appreciate it. We're going to be looking to try to do lives pretty much every day throughout the season. So just to start, I guarantee you we're going to be a lot better at doing these towards the end of the year than we are now. That's just how it works. So we're going to get better. We're going to get our things figured out, and we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow. I might do schedule prediction tomorrow. I might do a full season schedule prediction. I did it. I don't like it. I know you guys aren't going to like it, but I might have to do it. My guy out there in Hawaii. Let's go. Let's go. Mahalo, my guy. So that's what we might do tomorrow. We might do season predictions. I haven't done it. I'm not a big fan of predictions because so many variables, so many things can change. It's a lot of stuff. That's right. Got to look into call-ins. So I still might do it tomorrow though, because it's gonna get the chat. It's gonna get the chat chirping. It's gonna get you guys chirping at me probably too for picking who I got us losing to. So that's what we might do tomorrow. Call-ins have been one of the most requested things, so we might get that going. I'll look into that. All that good stuff. It's week 1. First real show of week 1 of this year. We're going to get to it. We're going to get it figured out. Appreciate everyone as always, and we will likely be back. We will be back